We needed more space. The plan was to move out of the house that we were in, and I had one of my dad's friends as a real estate agent. I kind of assumed that I'd work with him. I don't think we even got to the point where we were really looking yet.
You maybe looked at one house with him, but definitely we weren't super serious. Like, we didn't have our finances lined up.
So the real estate agent died.
This was very sad. He was very sweet. He went to my church.
You just happened to hit me up, like, right at the right time. Yeah, very good time.
I remember when he came home, he said, "Oh, I have this new real estate agent that I'm working with," and I was like a little bit nervous because I was like, "Oh, like, this sounds actually like we're gonna get serious about getting a house."
I do remember that being a really fun part of house hunting with you guys, is that you weren't in a big rush.
No.
So we got to take our time to look at some houses that were very close to, like, ticking all the boxes, as they say.
I was afraid I was dragging you around.
We looked at, well, you know me, I love looking at houses.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So we looked at some cool properties too.
It was such an
adventure. Some bad properties too, though. Not by your suggestion, but I saw some properties that I thought, oh, we could fix it up later, we could buy it cheap. But you, my family, everybody would warn me, like, no, Phil, that's too much work. That's not a good idea.
Too much
I think
work.
You steered me probably away from two major mistakes, maybe.
My family rented my whole life, and when you live in rentals, it's so obvious what needs to be fixed and what doesn't need to be fixed because you don't necessarily have control over it. So when you're looking and you see things like that we knew we would have to hire a professional to replace, like, oh, if it's older windows or whatever, I'm like, I know what it's like to live in a house in this condition, and I know, that it would be a big project. So it was definitely fun looking at all the houses and just some of them being like, no, I can't take on these projects. So it's all like personal preference and people's skill level, and our skill level for fixing stuff up is we hire somebody to do it.
I'm not a construction person.
Yeah. So that's like what we were looking at, was something that didn't need a lot of work. So
which is actually nice that we got a place that had new construction, because it was all boiled into the loan. We didn't have to, like, finance a house and then come back and then cough up the cash to fix up the house.
I remember when we very first started hunting for houses, Phil, you had one thing that you said that you wanted in a house that really stuck with me, and every house that I looked at, I was thinking about this feature.
I wanted raccoons on my back porch. Yeah, I wanted bears climbing in my hot tub. Yeah, I wanted animals and wildlife in the backyard. Yeah, and we totally got that here.
We definitely got that.
But we're still in Eureka. We're on a green belt in Eureka. So
Yeah.
we're still a short commute, and I still get all the wildlife. It's just perfect. From a financial planning point of view, I recommend all clients own their home, because it's the primary way that Americans have any wealth at all, is the equity that they have in their house. It kind of forces them to save, in a sense. It forces them to hold an asset rather than just spend every dollar. So that's one of the many good reasons that it's good to own a home.
I definitely, I came from a family that didn't have, the opportunity to own a home. And so that was always my parents' dream of, if we could just own a home and get that purchased, then we have something to pass on to the kids. And they were not able to fulfill that dream before my dad passed away. But I definitely know that my mom, it gives her huge peace of mind knowing that we own the home that we're in, and the stability of not having to move, because it's hard when you have a family. And I remember, you're a kid and you're living in your house, and then all of a sudden the landlord's selling, and here's a 30-day notice, and let's move. And now we have to pick up our entire life and find a rental. And so it is very stressful. So I definitely hope that we have more pathways in the future for people to own their home, the idea of like the first time home buyers loans, because it is just huge to have that stability when you have a family. The changes that we made to make our house more comfortable for children, a lot of them we wouldn't have been able to make if we were renting, because we were tearing stuff up, bolting stuff into the wall. I mean, a lot of the changes that were baby proofing were permanent changes that you can't do on a rental. So hopefully we move to everybody having access to that, because it is huge.
And it was a stretch, right, financially at the time.
Yeah, I had to do the math really carefully to make sure that I could afford just exactly what we were able to afford.
I heard a statistic this morning that home prices appreciated 3 times as fast as inflation.
Yeah.
Which was already high, yeah.
Yeah. It's something I always tell my clients too, is that real estate is a hedge against inflation.
Yeah, I tell clients
Yeah.
the same thing, yeah. Yeah, it's
Talking about rentals in Humboldt County, I see what homes are going for now. I mean, when my family was living here, renting a home, it was $1,350 a month for a 4-bedroom house. And so now when I see people saying, oh, I'm looking for a house, all the homes are over $2,000. And when someone can say, oh, I can afford $2,500 for a rental, I'm like, I have a real estate agent you should talk to.
There's a lot of just misinformation or misunderstanding about the down payments.
Yes,
like people think,
100%.
how am I going to get 20% down? But
Yeah.
you don't realize you don't need 20%
Yes.
down. And so educating people about that
I just told the client the same
huge.
thing. He had no
Yeah.
idea. He wanted to buy the house he was in, and I pointed out, you've never bought a house before. You can get a first-time home buyer's loan.
Yeah.
Well, and even if it's a second home, your second home that you're moving into, you can do a conventional 3% down.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a first-time home. So
And there's,
just if you're talking about
Thank you.
I
3%
know.
conventional. That's really important to me as a realtor, is just
Yeah.
to have these conversations with people.
Yeah.
Even if it's preliminary and they're like, we're not going to buy a house for 2 or 3 years, we're not ready.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you may not be ready now, but let's just talk about it to
Be
clear
ready.
some of the fog.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's your hope to someday own a home, even if it's not in your near future, figuring out what the steps you need to take is really important. And it's free to talk to a realtor. So just do it. Just talk to them and figure out.
We may even buy a coffee or a glass of wine.
Right, exactly.
We want to talk to people too.
They don't care if they can't make an instant sell. They're going to help you take the steps you need for a future purchase.
My dad, I think, would be stoked about this particular house, and he'd probably rave about it just because it was new construction and I got it on a green belt. I can't imagine that he would have any problem with this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been very happy about it. And it is too bad I can't show him, what we got.
Yeah, and I would say for my dad, I think he would have loved it. And I also think, what I always keep in the back of my mind is he always had a really generous spirit. So just keeping in mind, you're so lucky to have been in the right place at the right time, to have the relationship that you had where you guys could pull your finances together and make this purchase and have this stability. So just having the generous spirit of, your community has brought this to you, so give back to your community.